actuals from 2021. And then I know I've explained this to you guys before. We actually do a lot of stuff, but we base this forecast. It was amazing actually how much they changed from that bottom up a couple years ago. But this is really just for us to keep track. You see the actuals there year to date on the right hand side. Interestingly, it seems like it was a go through the year. Those pie charts don't look much different. You'll see this time we actually did a little light blue. We had a forecast 8%. We were a little over 10%. So there were a couple things that happened in January. We had an issues that actually did change that number a bit. And so the only other thing is, Kelly came in right on target for project hours last year, and he's already year to date right on target.
1 month in.
1 month in, and he is doing good job.
We set the standard.
All right, this just is the direct support hours. Again, how we define direct support is incident service requested projects. This is where we track it for city and county. We use the cost model, so that's the 2022 cost model, which was again done 2 years ago. But it breaks it out that the forecast would be 46% of those direct hours going to the city, 54% to the county. This is the breakout between the two. This is showing where it is year to date. This city's lagging behind a little bit there versus the county. Just 10%. Gosh. Oh, good. Yay. All right, this is just tickets, shows a little over a year. The light blue is city, the purple is the county. You'll see the breakout between the two is largely 60-40. And you'll see that, last year, as you'd expect, was crazier. We settled down a little bit this year. This range about 2,200, 2,300 is where kind of our average is, where we come in initially here. Why can I get that? Having rollerball issues. Okay, this just shows hours spent by department. Realize that's an eye chart on here. This is a bit unusual. Assessor year to date had the most hours. This actually changed the next day when I pulled this up. This is the dynamic thing. Corrections is almost always the leader for the county, just for the 24-hour operations. And again, this is where you see some of those that purples, the incident hours. And this chart is just for the city. This is unusual to have city finance. Steve's not here. Be the leader there so far, but that's because of this big project, the 2023 budget project. And then the cost model. So the cost model, this is where we are a bit behind this year. We had sent out the department reports on time. We got a lot of feedback. And I think Bridget might talk a little bit more to this, but we've done, there were just some requests and some things we were looking at. We did a lot of modeling. We're still working this on. The goal is still to have those departments up. That's it for me. Bob.
So Julie had an eye chart. I give you one better. So on the print, so everything that was sent out, you were able to pull that up. This is the year in review. So year end for 21. You can see the green. So our SLA commitment is 90%, and we met or exceeded that in all categories. And then we look at customer surveys. So this is the quantity. So our overall number was 96, and then the number of surveys responded to that blip on the side there is TSS, and they by large take the most number of calls, have the most number of tickets. So it would make sense that they would have the most number of responses. For January, we had 3 large outages. One that was covered is Mitel piece. Then we had an Oracle outage, as well as Citrix. That was more of an administrative outage, but it still caused impact. Incident SLAs. So again, for the month of January. And then here's the breakout. If you have any questions regarding the breakout or anything else, and we do have red on the P2s, and that is due to the small number of tickets that we get. If we have one that fails, it sticks out. And then tech support, we did have an uptick in our abandoned call rate, went from 3 to 7, and that takes into account the Mitel issues. And so we had a lot of calls that came in with that and Oracle did have an uptick in the abandon rate. And then that's through December, January again. As we go. Any questions?
So, every time we show different metrics, so this time we're trying, wanted to present a little bit of a different view of the metrics. So, over the years, we have a lot of technical debt on the Java side. We have a lot of aging applications, and then thanks to city and county, they helped fund that Java upgrade project. As a result of that, as you can see, most of our platform is current, and what we do is today is we follow a kind of a blue-green deployment process. So what happens is every Sunday we have a script that goes and looks for the if there's a framework new upgrade coming in or a Java upgrade that needs to be done. It spins up a server, it implements that, and then it kind of seamlessly the new application gets attached to a new instance. So we do that. It's fully automated, scripted. There's no manual intervention in that. In case if we have a failed bug test or anything, it rolls back to the older version, and then the team gets notified, and they to check that and go back and then fix it, and then the following week we attempt it again. So what that does is, so we don't have to deal with any technical debt going forward. That saves city and county a lot of dollars here, because earlier we used to run the same version for 10 years, and then after 10 years they get out of date, resupported, and we have to review those applications. So this fully automated process we've been following for the last few years now. So a lot of those you can see the attorney invoice system, the treasurer tabs, the OPD, accident reporting. A lot of those applications are being on this platform, and there are some applications that are in the works, like the OMS, a few other applications that are in our pipeline to be upgraded and put on this platform. All right. So, and this one kind of a subset of what Kelly's data is. This kind of focuses on our application teams. As you can see, if you look at the bucket of the Oracle and the web team, the number of project hours have significantly. The growth has been pretty steady, given the volume of the project work we do. Our upgrade also is another example of those hours we have put into this. We did the Oracle upgrade. There are also big factors here. And the rest of the other team on the legacy side, of the cost side, kind of stays pretty steady. They may not do many projects, but they do handle quite a big volume on the ticket side as well. Any questions?
Our project hours is 1 month in. Joe's there. Julie already talked about our 2022 forecast. Looking at the performance for the last couple of years and thinking about it, leverage what we did there to adjust these numbers. We had a great year as far as target to actual for the number of hours that we spent in the city, county, and shared services. Some of it is just a miracle that there's so many different projects and so many different people reporting on that it came out as close as it did. But again, just taking that trend line and then using some common sense, this is how we came up with that forecast for 2022. So the number of requests, well, we got 2 new in January. That puts us sitting around 69. And we were still at 69 project requests as of this morning. Actual starts in January is higher than average. We started a large number of projects. Some of those have to do with the annual projects that we start and stop in January. But we had an opportunity to start a number of efforts in accounts that some of them were closed down at the end of January and the beginning of February. We're a little bit behind where we expected those to be from a closure point. So 61 kind of pushes us into a threshold that we'd rather see that overall number of projects come down. But we still have a good mix of different types of projects and a good split between the city, county, and shared services. So from a governance standpoint, we're going to watch what we do start in the next 60 days to make sure that we don't consume too much resource. And it doesn't make sense when you say we can't finish your project because we just started 2 new ones. So trying to avoid that kind of scenario. Again, this shows the plan start. So we've already started one of these since putting these slides together. So one more start and then 2 more in March. So again, we'll go through, we'll do those planned start dates with both BJ and Bob later this week, and we'll see how that looks. But from an estimated close, again, looking for a big month for February for a number of those projects to roll off and get March. So really at that tipping point to watch that portfolio come back into balance. The 3 that we did close, the BitLocker upgrade, the Web Focus application upgrade, and then this is one of our annualized projects, the 2021 property project. For our VoIP progress, again, we just see that number keep coming down. We had the opportunity to put together that package for the city that expresses, here's what it looks like for you, and here's some opportunities to potentially fund some of these other projects. In our current state with our VoIP queue, we've got it full for probably about the next 60 to 90 days, depending on how those projects perform. But as it gets closer to that summer and that June and that July cutoff date for support, we're looking to, again, keep that pipeline full of facilities and other things that we can invest in. With that, great.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Quick update here. The network VPN project is going as expected. We're ready to build a beta environment to get the Citrix VPN rollout done. Expecting that around May 1st. So good news on that. Tied into that is multi-factor authentication. So one of the things that DOTComm had to experience was multi-factor authentication for one of our apps. And it's a good thing. It's an extra layer of security that's being used to make sure that our apps with our most sensitive data are protected more. So as we're doing a roadshow to talk about the Okta application and some of the things that we do with our customers, we're also bringing up the topic of multi-factor authentication and how they currently use that or may want to use that with VPN. So getting a feelers out there for what we're going to be able to have set up. A quick update, we have a continuation of service on a couple of the products that we've purchased in the last 3 or 4 years. They're CIP based items. So we've got Okta and Splunk both being renewed. That's fantastic. It's kind of interesting because out of my budget, I spend most of my money in the first month or 2 out of the whole year. It's just the way that it works out. But able to keep those at the same price point and still offering a great value as they were intended. Okay, next slide. And just to show you some of the metrics for the year in review, as Kelly had mentioned, the closeout of the BitLocker project there, the encrypted PCs had continued to grow up there through December. We're at 96, 97% of the PCs that we manage are now part of that. So definitely hitting our goal on that one. A couple of the other things that are really interesting, the number of tablets there, that's the year-over-year improvement. So that's January 2021 to December of 2021. We have increased 191 tablets in the environment. It's not listed here, but we have 1,500 laptops now as well. So when you look at the fleet, a large amount of things are now more portable devices, and definitely seems like that's the trend. The other one that I like is the emails sent to spam. 1.03 million emails were sent to spam. So those were items that Google had captured, put in your spam folder that didn't end up in your inbox. So that's all I have.
Hello, everyone. So starting with the operating income statement, one of the things I would like to point out that this is a draft because we are not finished with 2021 yet. So there are some items that still might affect January's financials. But as of right now, this is what this looks like. Our target is 8%. As you can see that our revenues and our expenses are both at 9%. And that is just because we're kind of front loaded on some of our expenses and our revenues. Next slide. So on this, the 2021 fund balance for that income dedicated for capital is 557,000. Oh, sorry, 566,000 plus we've got an additional 9,000 for this year, which is 557,000. Okay, next slide. The past due receivables, we do have some that have been kind of going up there, but we are working with everyone on these and getting these collected. So next slide, please. This is our cash projections for the year. You can see that we, like our low point is going to be probably about 1.7 million. Our monthly expenses, if you average them out, flatline them through the year, is approximately 1.5 million. So you can see that we basically have just over 1 month's worth of expenses in our cash. So next slide, please. Chargebacks, nothing exciting there. So, and then the next slide is the one that I actually want to spend a little bit of time on. With some of the stuff that we have been doing with the cost model this year and some of the analysis that we've done, we've really taken a close look at our TIP program. And our TIP program makes some of our funding a little bit harder to predict and stuff in the future, especially when it comes to those operating expenses. So you can see that there are several line items on this chart that are showing that we're going to request to roll those into 2023. But then after that, the current program that we're using for TIP is going to kind of change. So once those items are rolled in, most of our operating expenses will actually be in our operating budget. And so what we'll be coming forward with in the future are just those items that are going to be like special projects, one-time projects, those type of things. So effectively, this is going to be kind of the end of our current TIP program. All of these items that are listed on here are just the finishing up of the ones from previous years. And these are the remaining balances or the remaining funds that we anticipate spending. So I know that that's kind of a lot of information. That's kind of a big change. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about this? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your time.
Just a review. We sent this out last month, but I just wanted to talk about it for a second. In year-end 2021, we ended the year, at least in the last 5 years, with at least the lowest turnover that we've had. I did look at some things. We have already had 2 retirements this year, and we anticipate more. I wanted to see what retirements look like and how that impacts. It's going to impact us much greater this year. We've had about 1 a year true retirements, and so it's about 1%. Lower than that if you take retirements out. The retirements really aren't the same kind of turnover, but this year we're going to have at least 3, maybe 4. So it's going to certainly have a different look to us. Our monthly average of
So you're gonna have 3 or 4 retirements.
Yeah, we've already had 2.
Who's gonna run your legacy system?
Well, you saw PJ's chart, right? The project hours on legacy are going up. We're shifting.
And actually, only 1 has been in the legacy area. So, but our monthly average of 1.33 is below the national trends. I look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics every year, and this year, and I use government, state and local, as well as information technology, and kind of average those. So about 2.2, 2.3 is what the average is for both those areas combined. So we sit pretty well on whole. So next slide. And then it just shows where we're at this year. I say we've had 2 because we have their retirement dates are in February.
Sure announced.
Yeah, they're announced. And we've just had 1 person officially as of January leave. The others are in February. You'll see those. Thank you. Well, in this, we can't really request this, so we'll move it to the next month. But what this, just a little bit of conversation. We have people that work down in the police department, work in fire and work on the mobile data environment. And that environment is just very different. It's not PC sitting on a desk or even in a warehouse. It's in the cop cars, in a tray, that there's electrical that you need to know, there's fabrication work that needs to be done. So you really have to know. And when we send people down there, it takes time to train them on that area. And when we get people trained, we need to be able to have backups as well. So this is a way to reward those people for going through and getting that training. It's a different environment. It's a little, it's one thing when a PC on a desk doesn't work, it's another thing when a cop car's not working, right? And a fire truck's not working. So it's a little higher stress. So that's what we're doing is to hopefully incent those individuals that work in that environment.
And I think that just to drive it home, the reason we're doing this right now is because we do rotate. Right. So it's not just, oh, we're going to set a certain salary for that job. It's not that simple, right? Because people roll in, they roll out. We want to make sure that it's compensated appropriately for those people that do take on that higher stress load.
Yeah. So we'll vote next.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that's it. Oh, thanks for listening to our informational meeting today. See ya.
I'm just curious, so the uptick in the tablets being used, is that replacing that, are people opting to take those? Or is it?
Hey, Greg, well, Bobby, I don't think we're seeing any decline in our other devices.
So they're adding it.
Supplemental.
It's supplemental, yeah. So it's, I have something at work with, and then I have something that I can take in people.
I think the switch to the laptop, that's where you're seeing a permanent swap out from a tablet to the laptop.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's actually a replacement. I think the tablets are supplementary. And we know where we're deploying a lot of them to certain specific types of groups that are using them in the field now where they weren't before. Good question. It wasn't on the record. It's a great question.
A little slow.
So maybe it wasn't. Didn't exist. Didn't happen. All right, thanks.